In the aftermath of their bitter struggle against Carthage, culminating in Hannibal's crushing defeat at Zama, Rome cast its ambitious gaze eastward toward the proud Macedonian kingdom ruled by the Antigonid dynasty. However, Rome's confrontation with the Greeks began long before Zama. The disciplined Roman legions had clashed repeatedly with the formidable Macedonian Phalanx, a dense wall of spearmen perfected by Alexander the Great. These engagements would ultimately prove pivotal in determining supremacy in the ancient Mediterranean. It was 334 BC when Alexander, with his hardened army of Macedonian veterans, crossed the Hellespont into Persian territory. Victories at Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, and against King Porus at Hydaspes, showcased the deadly efficiency of Alexander's phalanx, the Pesheteroi, or foot companions. Their ranks, tightly packed and wielding lengthy, razor-sharp pikes, tore through Persian formations with mechanical precision. Yet, upon Alexander's sudden death in 323 BC, his empire fractured as ambitious generals scrambled for dominance. Out of these violent struggles emerged three major successor states: the Ptolemaic Kingdom in Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in Asia, and Antigonid Macedonia. Each continued employing the feared Macedonian phalanx, unaware that its ultimate test would come not from Eastern foes, but from a burgeoning Western republic, Rome. When Roman legionaries first faced Greek-style phalanxes, their rigid discipline and adaptability were immediately tested. A Roman legion was an intricate machine built on flexible units called maniples, capable of independent action, while the phalanx depended heavily on absolute cohesion. Both depended on unit morale, knowing the greatest casualties occurred not during combat, but when armies broke and fled before their lines collided. Roman velites unleashed javelins, followed by pila from the heavier hastati infantry. Though many missiles glanced harmlessly off the forest of Greek spears, enough penetrated shields and struck flesh to begin unsettling the phalanx's tightly held formation. Then came the brutal collision. Roman shields met Macedonian pikes. Roman soldiers quickly learned through brutal experience how to overcome this deadly obstacle. At the Battle of Asculum in 280 BC, they discovered that charging headlong, shields interlocked, or feinting low attacks could disrupt the phalanx. Legionaries lunged beneath raised pikes, entering a deadly close-quarters melee where their short swords excelled and long Greek spears were useless. Terrain played a decisive role in these fierce encounters. The manipular legion's adaptability had evolved precisely from struggles against agile Samnite hill warriors in Italy's rugged mountains. Conversely, phalanxes thrived on flat, open ground, their ranks vulnerable to disruption on uneven terrain. Nowhere was this more evident than the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC. At first, the Macedonian phalanx, on flat ground, drove the Romans back effortlessly. However, Roman commanders cunningly withdrew their forces to uneven ground, drawing the phalangites onto rugged slopes. The tight Macedonian formation began splintering, creating vulnerable gaps. Roman centurions seized this moment, plunging into these openings and dismantling the phalanx from within. What began as Macedonian dominance quickly turned to disaster. Equipment differences also influenced these clashes significantly. Macedonian phalangites wielded the sarissa, a lengthy two-handed pike topped with a small iron head that pierced armor like little teeth, as poet Gracius described. Their smaller shields, strapped to their arms, offered minimal protection at close range. Meanwhile, Roman hastati, though less heavily armored, carried substantial scudum shields. These provided both defense and offensive capability, complemented by pila javelins and the deadly gladius short sword, making them versatile fighters. Leadership styles drastically diverged between Rome and the Hellenistic kingdoms. Greek kings, emulating Alexander's heroic image, often fought at the front, seeking personal glory but risking command paralysis. Pyrrhus of Epirus met his end in the thick of combat. Philip V led his troops directly at Cynocephalae, and Antiochus III personally charged into enemy ranks at Magnesia. Romans, however, viewed command pragmatically. Their generals typically directed battles from elevated positions, maintaining broad oversight and adjusting tactics as the battle unfolded. This approach proved invaluable at Cynocephalae in 197 BC, where Quincius Flaminius, witnessing his left wing falter, swiftly rode to his right flank, decisively crushing the unprepared Macedonian left. Roman commanders empowered lower-ranking officers with autonomy, creating leaders at all levels. At Cynocephalae, a lone tribune independently rallied legionaries and swung the battle in Rome's favor, a scenario unimaginable in the rigid Phalanx. Roman centurions epitomized this empowered leadership. At Pydna, centurions led their men into the fragmented Macedonian line without explicit orders, exemplifying Rome's decentralized command structure. At Magnesia, another tribune executed fleeing soldiers to reassert discipline and personally spearheaded a counterattack. Actions highlighting initiative impossible within a phalanx. Ultimately, these persistent clashes highlighted the legion's superiority in flexibility and adaptability over the phalanx's rigid power. Successive defeats eroded Greek confidence, culminating in Rome's decisive victories. Rome's conquest of the Greek world fundamentally altered the Mediterranean balance of power, annexing Macedonia, Greece, and Western Asia Minor. Yet this victory also initiated a profound cultural transformation within Rome itself. The captured Greek culture infiltrated Roman life so thoroughly that Romans themselves remarked, "Rome conquered Greece, but Greece conquered Rome." Despite triumphing militarily, Rome became profoundly Hellenized, integrating Greek traditions, philosophies, and artistry into its very identity. The mid-Republican legion had forged Rome into the dominant Mediterranean power, yet the relentless pace of conquest exposed weaknesses in their citizen-soldier system. New threats loomed, demanding reforms. Thus began the pivotal transformation under General Gaius Marius, reforms that would create the first professional Roman army, forever altering Rome's fate. As these legions marched onward, their story became the tale of Rome itself, adaptable, disciplined, and relentless, destined to forge one of history's greatest empires through blood, iron, and discipline.